Okay. All right. Good evening. Good evening, everyone. We will get started at this moment. It's 7:03 p.m. Let's call this meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Mr. Calvo,
Present.
Ms. Garcia Robes,
Present.
Ms. Pacheco, Ms. Perez, Mr. Rodriguez is absent, Mr. Tundidor,
Present.
Mr. Sogby.
Present.
Mr. President, we have quorum.
Thank you. Invocation led by Elsa.
We can bow our heads. Dear Lord, we thank you for today and every day of our lives. Help us remember that everything in life happens for a reason, even if we don't understand it at the time. That there's a reason for every person that crosses our path. Whether good or bad, it's a lesson learned. That everything in this life is a journey and that this life is temporary. Remind us, Lord, to count our blessings and to love one another in the same manner that you love us. And Lord, guide the city council in all decisions made today.
Amen.
Amen.
Please face the flag. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Meeting guidelines, please. Oh, let the record reflect that Councilwoman Pacheco is present. And we can move to meeting guidelines, please.
Yes. All lobbyists must register with the city clerk. As a courtesy to others, please refrain from using cellular telephones or other similar electronic devices in the city council chambers. A maximum of 3 speakers in favor and 3 speakers in opposition will be allowed to address the council on any one item. Each speaker's comments will be limited to 3 minutes. No signs or placards in support or in opposition to any item or speaker shall be permitted within the council chambers. Any person, whether participating via the web platform, telephonic conferencing, or physical presence at City Hall, interested in making comments or posting questions on matters of public concern or in any item of the agenda may do so during the meeting. Members of the public may address the city council on any item pertaining to city business during the comments and questions portion of the meeting. A member of the public is limited to 1 appearance before the city council, and the speaker's comments will be limited to 3 minutes. The public can view public meetings on the city's YouTube webpage. Members of the public may hear the meeting live through telephonic conferencing using any telephonic or cellular phone service. A smart device or computer are not necessary to participate in the meeting if you join by phone. All persons participating via the web platform will be muted during the meeting until called upon to be heard. Participation through Zoom requires a computer or smart mobile device with a microphone and web camera. The participant may elect to participate in the meeting using audio only or appear through both audio and video. The video function of all participants appearing through the video will be turned off until called upon to be heard.
So under presentations, both items have been postponed until April 9th. So let's move on over to comments and questions. Awesome.
In person, Mr. President, we have 3. The first one is Juan Santana.
Okay, Mr. Santana.
Juan Santana, 5601 West
Good
10th
evening.
Avenue. How was everybody doing?
Good one.
I came for 2 things. I see Marbellis is not here, so, Mayor, that way you know I did a public records request regarding one of the department heads. I could tell they left things out of the file that are not there. In the past, I've done, records requests on certain employees' files. And, please have a conversation with Marbellis. Because I don't want to be one of these people that be going to the ethics department and complaining and all this other nonsense. So I'm just bringing it up to you because you're the administrator. I really don't appreciate it. Plus, in the past, they used to just redact everything and give you a file like they got in HR. Now everything, they scanned it on the computer. And the computer is like 13-inch monitor, you know? So, you're literally sitting there, and then plus, they had me there in the hallway. There was a special magistrate event here. People kept asking me questions. I'm trying to go through the documents to do my public records to see what I need, what information I need. And I found out a lot of good information about this director. And, but I'll bring up some more stuff about that later. Once I have everything together, where there's a lot of conflict of interest regarding, where the city's vision is actually going and what direction we're going on a full scale in the last over 20 years here in the city of Hialeah. Now I understand why certain things are being done the way they're being done. And another thing regarding an agenda item today, you guys want to do this at 5 o'clock? I don't have a problem with it. But I know a lot of other people, they work and they do want to come to the council, unless you want to have like a empty location full of employees here out here. But I really don't agree with that, because at the end of the day, it's, the person proposing this, sometimes they're not here. This individual has a family, and it's always God, family, and then everything else. But don't really agree with that. But at the end of the day, we have it at 7. We always had it at 7. I go to other municipalities. Sometimes they have it at 11 in the morning, and then they'll have another council meeting at 6:30 in the afternoon. So some, like the city of Doral, does it twice a day, because some people can make it in the mornings and some people can make it in the evenings. And at the end of the day, you want people to come to participate. This is important to have engagement with your community. So guys, remember, you're voting on this agenda item today. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Santana. Who else do we have?
Second person is Annabelle Urea Guzman from Miami-Dade County.
Ms. Guzman? Name and address, please.
My name is Annabelle. I am the new West State liaison for Mayor Daniela Levin Cava. I came here to introduce myself personally to you and just offer you my services. I'm taking over Tomas Alcala's position, and I'm here to help and actually look forward to working with the city of Hialeah. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Third person is Michael Custodio.
Sir. Name and address, please, sir.
Good evening. My name is Michael Custodio. I'm with South Florida Club Sport. Can you hear me fine? South Florida Club Sport, we deal with adult sports and events. We're very happy to be in your city. If you can promote our league to everyone in your city, that'd be great. We do have some questions on how the scores for the sports were decided. So we were awarded soccer and volleyball. We're wondering why we did not get the bid for softball. Currently, we are the largest softball organization in South Florida, and we were just wondering what went into the process and what we can do to score higher in the next one.
Mayor?
All right, I think that's something for either Willie or Michael, if they're here.
Or Louis too. Louis,
See what's in a second. No. Go ahead and address it. And if somebody from procurement might be here, so at least he understands what the process was like.
Good morning, Mike, or good afternoon, good evening. Michael Festa, Deputy Director of Parks, 900 East 56th Street, Building 4. So this was an RFP that went out for adult sports in the city. We had 3 members of staff score the proposals, and then it broke it down by experience, understanding, and pricing. And that's how the tabulations ended up with, there's 3 providers that submitted bids, and we're going to move forward with all 3, dividing the work out based on the points that were assigned. But I'd be happy to speak with him offline to kind of go over his submittal compared to the other proposals. Thank you.
Yeah, that's fine. If it's all right with the council, look, a lot of these things is sometimes spread out the work for everybody, especially adult sports. We haven't done this before. And I think what it gives us an opportunity to great relationships, and then maybe on down the line, maybe puts us in a better position to select someone that we prefer to work with. So you said you're going to be providing what sports now?
I'll be with volleyball and soccer.
Okay, well, two heavy sports here in the city, no doubt. So look forward to seeing what you do out here in the city and the participation.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yep.
Thank you. Mikey, do we do kickball as well? Do we have like a kickball league?
That's part of the award tonight. We'll have a kickball league.
Oh, okay, got
Yeah.
it, got it. Any shuffleboard? No? Okay,
Yeah, we can, whatever you guys want.
okay. All right, all right, all right. All right, thank you. Anyone else?
Oh, sorry. Eric Johnson, Hialeah Firefighters, Local 1102. Congratulations. God bless. That's my hearing aids. Congratulations. Through the chair, Mr. Mayor, you have faced a task this year with your ISO rating that we haven't faced in 5 years. And personally speaking, I don't think it's ever been done like it was this year before. 40 years we've had an ISO rating of a class 1. Congratulations, Chief, wherever you are. I've been a critic of yours, but let me tell you something. You went above and beyond this ISO. Raul Gonzalez, you pretty much, I'm going to say damn near single-handedly tackled an impossible task. I met with you before with the mayor and his administration where we said, no matter what it takes, we're going to get through this. Let me publicly recognize you and say we would not be standing where we are today with a passing rate of an ISO score that higher than we've ever had without your direction and your commitment. Thank you so much. To the council, be advised, this ISO is so important to our community. It's not about us. It's about the businesses. A lot of people understand that ISO relates to the insurance premium for businesses, but that's not the only way we should think about this. ISO prepares us to be the best and most responsible and most prepared fire department around here for our citizens, the people that we serve. And this would not have been possible without your support and without your direction. And for that, I want to say on behalf of our union, thank you. And to Commander Yanez, I don't know where he is, kudos to you. As you all well know, I have been a critic of our communications, but let me tell you something. I have been proved wrong. An outside person, outside of Hialeah, outside of the city, outside of the state, throughout the country has come in as a non-biased person and showed us the facts. And for that, I'm greatly appreciative. Thank you to Commander Yanez. Thanks, Police Chief, because I don't think a lot of this would have happened without you having the old grande cojones to make it happen. Amen. Keep it going.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. You have, anyone else online?
No, sir.
Anyone else in the chamber? All righty. Let's move on over to announcements of amendments.
For the record, PZ 3 is postponed for the applicant's request and it's postponed until April 23rd.
Okay. Any board appointments?
None, sir.
None. Okay, moving on to consent agenda. Any items to pull?
If I may, through the chair.
Yes, ma'am.
Item D and item K.
Item D and item A?
K.
K. All righty. Anyone else?
Motion.
All right, we have a motion by the Vice President.
Second.
We have a second by Councilman Zong.
Mr. Calvo,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robles,
Yes.
Ms. Pacheco,
Yes.
Ms. Perez,
Yes.
Ms. Rodriguez is absent. Mr. Tundidor.
Yes.
Mr. Sogby.
Yes.
Item passes except for item D and K.
Perfect. Let's read item D into the records, please.
A proposed resolution declaring the month of April Autism Awareness Month in the city of Hialeah and adopting the motto Light It Up Blue to encourage businesses, organizations, and residents to participate in the city campaign by illuminating our city blue throughout the month of April and providing for an effective date.
Councilwoman Perez?
Thank you, sir. As we know, this cause is something that's very close to my heart. And I asked for your support. I think that I wanted it to be passed now in March so that in April we have a a little bit of a special presentation here before you at council. And we're going to invite some organizations, and that day we'll go downstairs and illuminate the building. This is just a moment that, you know, we come together as a community and we shed a little bit of light on the experiences and challenges that these individuals have in our community and their families, and show a little bit of support. So I appreciate if you can please support this cause and motion to support the item.
I second it.
Thank you, sir.
Motion by Perez, second by Zogby.
Ms. Garcia Robles,
Yes.
Ms. Pacheco,
Yes.
Ms. Perez,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez is absent, Mr. Tundidor.
Yes.
Mr. Sogby,
Yes.
and Mr. Calvo.
Yes.
Okay.
Item passes.
Thank you.
All right. Item K.
Proposed resolution to fully and unconditionally support the fulfillment basics needs of the people of Cuba in their demands for freedom, and urging the President of the United States House of Representatives and Senate, and the Secretary General of the United Nations to use all available diplomatic means to pressure the Cuban dictatorship to abandon their oppressive regime and respect the fundamental rights of the Cuban people, to advocate for the restoration of basic necessities, including access to food, medicine, electricity for the Cuban people, to raise awareness of the Cuban people's struggle by engaging with international organizations, governments, and media outlets to ensure their voices are not silenced and their plight is recognized globally, to encourage and support efforts to restore internet access to Cuba, to enable the Cuban people to document and share their experiences and protests with the world, and hereby authorizing the mayor or his designee to provide support to those Cuban citizens in providing their basic necessities.
All right. Councilwoman Perez.
Thank you. So this resolution basically is to defend and support what we've been seeing different Cuban activists, whether on the island or here in the United States. We see that people have been jailed with no release. Many people have been killed. People are suffering there for decades. And this oppression and these living conditions just seem to get worse as the years go on. I think the mayor said it best in the past. He said, whatever happens in Cuba is felt here in Hialeah. And I think that's a very true statement. I believe that everyone here on this dais, the council members, I don't know about everybody else, but I believe everyone here that's a council member was born here in the United States, but doesn't matter. This still resonates with us. This still affects us. We still have family that's from this country. And I think that witnessing all these crimes and basic acts of terrorism that this dictatorship continues to do, and the world knows who's committing these crimes, and they've never been punished. There's been no justice that's been served. So we need to stand by these Cuban people that are shouting, pleading, and desperately asking for freedom, justice, and humane treatment. And for that, I think us as elected officials here in the city of Hialeah, where we have such a high population of Cubans that reside within our city, we need to lead by example and push for that voice for people that have none. So thank you, the mayor. I know that everyone up here feels the same sentiment and support that I do. And we're just asking for Biden, Congress, United Nations, all of them to get a copy of this resolution and to hear what us here as leaders in this community have to say, and to speak up for these regular rights that they need to be issued.
Mr. President, just before you take a motion on the item, I wanted to just first applaud the councilwoman for doing this. And I know that in many instances, people would say, well, what does it matter? Why do something like this? And what's it going to impact? And I want you to take pride in the fact that the regime in Cuba pays attention to this. And as she said earlier, what happens in Cuba is felt here in the city of Hialeah. And if we ever thought for a second that the Cuban government wanted change or wanted, they've demonstrated by their actions how they've treated people that have simply asked for food, medicine, electricity. They're asking for freedom. They're not asking for more money to go to the island. They're not asking for the lifting of the embargo. They're asking for a basic thing that system is incapable of providing. So this matters. This clearly matters. And if you don't think it matters, and ask yourself, why does a person like Rene Rocha, who is convicted, or not convicted, but has admitted to now spying for the Cuban government. This was a top level executive representative for the US government and various international bodies, who was a Castro agent, whose hands may be full of blood in the murder of the Brothers to the Rescue pilots. Okay, these things matter. And I think it's very, very important as a city where we are probably outside of Havana and Santiago de Cuba, the most Cuban connected, Cuban city, Cuban American city, however you want to describe it, in the world. This matters. And so I don't want any one of you to think, oh, these are just little frivolous votes and check off the box. This is important. The folks on the island of Cuba need to know that they're the leaders of the destiny of Cuba. We're here to support them and that we have their back. And if we could communicate these things to our congressional delegation, to the leaders in Washington, D.C., it's extremely important. This is not frivolous. This is extremely important. I'm glad that you're doing it. And every chance we get, we need to double down on our hope and our aspirations to see our brothers and sisters in Cuba free. I've never been to Cuba, never will be to Cuba, wasn't born in Cuba, but I carry it through my blood from my parents, like many of you do. And this honors them also. So I appreciate what you're doing and I applaud you for those efforts. And absolutely, I know everybody here will support it because they feel the same way.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate that. So I have a motion on the item.
And a second.
We have a motion by Perez and we have a second by Zogby.
Ms. Pacheco?
Yes.
Ms. Perez?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez is absent. Mr. Tundidor?
Yes.
Mr. Sogby?
Yes.
Mr. Calvo?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes?
Yes.
The item passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to administrative items, 11A.
First reading of proposed ordinance amending Chapter 2 entitled Administration, Article 2, Departments, Offices, and Divisions, Division 12, Education and Community Services Department, and Division 13, Parks and Recreation Department of the City Code of Ordinances of the City of Hialeah, specifically by renaming the Department of Parks and Recreation to the Department of Parks and Community Engagement with 3 divisions: 1, Parks and Recreation; 2, Education and Community Services; and 3, Special Events, providing for the duties of the director, providing for a severability clause, repealing all ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for inclusion in the code, and providing for an effective date. And this is first reading.
Thank you. The first reading, any council discussion?
I'd motion.
A motion by Zogby,
Second.
second by Perez.
Ms. Perez?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez? Absent. Mr. Tundidor?
Yes.
Mr. Sogby?
Yes.
Mr. Calvo?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes?
Yes.
Ms. Pacheco?
Yes.
Item passes.
Thank you. Unfinished business,
None, sir.
new business, item A.
Amending the official time of the city council meetings from 7 PM to 5 PM effective July 1st, 2024 pursuant to section 301 of the city's charter, which provides that city council shall hold regular meetings at least twice monthly in each calendar year at times and places as the city council may prescribe by ordinance. And this is a discussion item, Mr. President.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Councilmember Perez?
Thank you. So, tonight I wanted to address this matter. I think it's been weighing heavily on my mind for some time now, since being here since 2019. And it's a simple yet a significant change, I believe. It's gonna benefit the community. Many of us have been here in council meetings till midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. Not that long ago, about a month ago, 2 months ago, I think we had a preschool that was here and there was kids with their families, with the employees, a bunch of kids in council chamber at 12 o'clock midnight, and there was school the next day. We have elderly people that stay here for zoning items that need to be driven here. And it's very late, and many of us have to stand up behind our chairs at around 11 o'clock because we're exhausted by that time. And we're really looking over some heavy, important material at that time. and having discussions and asking questions. And let's be honest, we're not as fresh as we are at 11:30 at night on those items. And I could speak freely and take account to that. It's hard. And, you know, we work, we have jobs during the day, we have kids. And by the time that you're here doing business at midnight, it's very difficult to have a clear and concise, conversation. So this is just something to discuss. It's not anything that's set in stone. I wanted to propose this, not impose it on anybody. And I just wanted to urge us to have a simple conversation, discuss the pros and cons. I wanted to pass around, and I hope everyone got it. I think Melissa passed it out to everybody. We did a little simple research on different cities, different municipalities. It's 2 pages. When they meet, some of them meet once a month, some of them meet twice a month. Some of them have meetings at 9 a.m., as you can see. Others have it at 5:30, 6 o'clock. On the second page, you'll see Tallahassee has it at 3. Miami Lakes has it at 6:30, City of Doral, 10 a.m. City of Miami, 9 a.m. Parker City, 5:30. So there's different municipalities that start at different times. The only change here that we would have to consider is that we cannot discuss land use items before 5 o'clock according to our charter. So that would be the only thing tying us to a certain time. And that's why I proposed 5 o'clock, because sometimes we've been blessed, I think maybe once since I've been here, that we've done a meeting in 15 or 20 minutes. But other than that, we've never had that luck. But just in case we have that one meeting, that one time, that's why I proposed 5 o'clock. In speaking with the mayor, he said that maybe that's something that us as council members, if we wanted to change the charter and change that clause of not having land use items read before 5 o'clock, that's something we could do. So I don't know. I would like to hear your thoughts and just keep into consideration how we work at 11:30, 12 o'clock at night, and the poor people that are sitting out here at that time that have been wanting to discuss, putting up a fence in their house, and they're here at midnight with their kids, or, they have a neighbor driving them here because they're so old and they can't see and drive at night. That's what I'm considering, those people. So that's just something for us to discuss, and I would love to hear, your thoughts.
Through the chair.
Yes, ma'am.
I know the timing that our meeting starts, 7 p.m. It is pretty late, and I myself, I think I feel the same way that most of my colleagues do regarding the time. I did receive feedback from about a dozen people that were a bit concerned because they wouldn't be able to attend, not even through Zoom, due to that conflicting with work schedule. And I was thinking perhaps if we could somehow make it earlier, but not 5 o'clock, perhaps maybe 6 o'clock p.m. to give opportunity to those that work until 5 or 5:30 to be able to attend if they would desire to do so.
I mean, if I may through the chair,
Yes, ma'am.
I don't know, are you done with your thought? If I could,
Yes.
okay. So the agenda, you can move it around. So for example, comments and questions, you can move it to the back. Presentations, you can move it to the back. So that's something, this is a fluid item. So we could discuss consent agenda first. It doesn't have to be so concrete. If we start at 5 and then towards the end, maybe at 5:30, 5:45, then that's when we talk about a presentation, or that's when we have comments and questions to allow whoever got there a little bit later to hop in on the meeting. That's an option, because I consider that as well. But usually most people, work till 5, and if they can't, they could go on through Zoom. That's still an option. They could still speak via Zoom if they can't make it here on time, which I know that that's another concern.
Through the chair.
Yes, sir.
I'm perfectly fine with 5 o'clock. If you want to go with that, I support you, and whatever's convenient for my colleagues. I have an open schedule in the afternoon, so I'm good. I think it's about time. Thank you for bringing that up.
Oh,
Are you implying I'm retired?
through the chair.
Yes,
please,
ma'am.
like I said, I received feedback from multiple residents, and they felt very strongly about this, that it would limit their ability to participate. 5 o'clock is traffic time. It's a time that people are being, that they finish work. That's the time that
people are picking their children up from daycare. And it's not just a matter of being able to participate and in public comments. Some individuals actually, they like to see the entire meeting. That's why I strongly urge you to, reconsider the 5 o'clock and push it back a little bit further, not as late as 7 p.m., but to allow opportunity for those individuals that work until 5 p.m. For me, starting at 5 is much more convenient, but I have to prioritize what is best for the residents of Hialeah, considering the majority of people do have 9 to 5 jobs.
Sir. Yes, I'm sorry.
Just, I would, Mr. President, what I would, as, obviously it's a discussion item, and I think it is worthy of a discussion because, technology now, a lot of these things were put in our code at a time when, technology wasn't as prevalent as it is now. And the ability for people to see meetings and participate in meetings now has become much more expansive. Perhaps one of the things that you could consider as you think through this is that our meetings, our council meetings are really a tale of two meetings. It's an administrative portion of the meeting, and then there's a planning and zoning component. And really, the planning and zoning component is what you're referring to is the stay here until late at night, because there's a lot of deliberation going on. It's not as much on the administrative part. That's not to say that there aren't thorny items on the administrative part. When I was in the county, we would meet during the day, and I did hear from folks that would complain they wanted to be able to go and meet at night. They have to take a day off from work, and that put pressure on the board not to defer items when you were dealing with them, because you didn't want folks taking a day off from work, coming to the county commission for a meeting, spending their hours, and then you just deferred the item, and then they have to reboot that, and that's very difficult for people. Our budget, ironically, was always at 5:01. Whether it's by charter, by I don't know what it was, but it happened to be at 5:01. That's when we would start our budget hearing in the county, and that obviously was a nighttime function. Perhaps one of the things as we could continue to do some more research or think it through is that there may be a consideration of separating the meetings in two parts so that you could always perhaps fulfill a 5 or 6 o'clock start time on planning and zoning items, and maybe take administration differently as a consideration. For the most part on administrative items, it's your staff that's here, and perhaps doing it at a time that does not require them to be here after hours might be better. But I think it's still a worthy conversation to have. Like I said, ultimately with the technology and the way we're now being able to communicate with folks, you're very hard pressed to say, I didn't know anything about it unless you have your life and you don't care about these things. And God knows only maybe 10% care about these things. There is an avenue now, and it's the technology that's afforded to everybody. And so I don't think it's unwise as a council to continue to challenge and review and look at past practices in a way of maybe, morphing with the times. We've seen many folks that participated. We've had even administrative folks comment through online when people have had questions. So, COVID was good and bad, and maybe it taught us some good things as far as efficiencies and what have you in some of these meetings. So I don't necessarily think it's a bad idea to examine it. As far as times are concerned, give yourself a flexibility to portion it out. Maybe you do administration during the day for those that could participate. That's another challenge, right? Because every council member has work to do and what have you. And then you have, the 6 o'clock portion of your meeting day to planning and zoning. But that's, again, just thinking out loud with you and spitballing, if you will. So
I think and I agree, Councilwoman. I mean, I think that the time that you suggested does work. I would confirm with every council member here first that 5 o'clock works, right? I mean, because I don't know what everyone's schedule is like. I know Councilman Rodriguez is not here. I'm not sure at what time. Willie, do you know, más o menos? I mean. So, yeah, I mean, I think,
5:30, I mean, you could
I think 5:30, yeah, I think 5:30 would work.
make it right up.
Yeah, I know that I think the mayor, I heard the mayor say before he wanted to do it on Fridays. So is that,
No.
you still want to do it? No? No? Okay. Yeah, I just want to, at least at a minimum, to make sure that the council members could join at the time that.
Just know, I'm gonna preempt my attorney here. Whatever considerations and this is by no means, I don't think the conversation is today. We'll do a little bit more research also, maybe talk to some city clerks. We'll do some of the legwork to get better information. But I just be advised that if there was some changes, they may be charter changes that need to be made. Do those have to go to the voters?
No, actually, that's you're reading my mind, Mr. Mayor. What charter says is that the council will set the times and dates that they meet by ordinance.
Okay.
So, you pass an ordinance. In the old days, I have this ancient resolution here where it was done by a resolution, but that's changed because the charter now requires an ordinance. So whatever you pass, it would be an ordinance saying this time, and you could only change that, by ordinance, by an ordinance amendment.
Yeah,
What-
and that might trigger, agenda preparations and things
Right.
like that, okay?
If I may, Rafael, I believe that it also has two details that we have to meet twice a month. What are the requirements? We must meet twice a month and
You have to meet twice a month and at times and places that the council may prescribe by ordinance.
right. so it
They
could be-
will recess for 1 month in the calendar year. Special meetings may be called by the mayor or the city council. Written notice of such special meetings must be given at least 24 hours in advance. Unless it's a shorter time due to some emergency declared by the council and so forth. That's pretty much it.
So we could even have the meeting at a park if we wanted to. It doesn't have to be here. It says that we could choose the destination.
I'm gonna, like, I'm an old, attorney general opinion, and I don't want to come off that way, but there's attorney general opinions that have addressed, has to be at a public place,
Right.
readily accessible to everybody.
There you go.
Can't
right,
be, can't be like a private country club.
Right. No, well.
All right, so do we want to at least have
I
legal
would like
draft
to
something up?
research. Yeah, I would like a little bit of research, maybe a little draft, propose something. And then I guess when Councilman Rodriguez comes, we could get his feedback as well.
You want them to start drafting at 5:30? Like the time
I
start?
say 5:30 is a happy medium. People get out of work, it gives them time to log on.
Okay.
I think either way, it's you have YouTube, you have Zoom. There's options if you're not here right at 5:30 and we do the Pledge of Allegiance, we do a prayer. It's not like we begin right at 5:30.
Okay.
The meetings, right, you're talking about a commencement of the meeting at 5:30.
If I hit the mic.
Yes, thank you. And your P and Z items are normally at the end of the agenda.
Right.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, item B. I think he approves of it. So we don't, yeah. You do it? Yeah.
Okay, item B is a report of Scrivener's errors. This is just a report pursuant to section 3031, agenda of city council meetings of the city of Hialeah Code. The city clerk shall correct Scrivener's errors that are discovered in the ordinances, resolutions, council meetings, and staff reports, and promptly report all corrections to the city council. On March 12, 2024, the city council approved the consent item U with the incorrect expenditure amount by which to increase the purchase order of 2,300. This item has been amended to reflect the correct expenditure amount of 2,460.
Okay, perfect. Any discussion on this item? All right, do we have any other new business?
Yeah, just very quickly, just wanted to share with the city council. The Government Finance Officers Association put out a news release in January. We just received it now. That in essence, this Government Finance Officers Association is pleased to announce that the city of Hialeah is received a GFOA Distinguished Budget Presentation Award. In essence, this is accountants patting each other on the back for a job well done. But it's important because one of the things that they take into consideration is obviously policy documents, financial planning, operation guides, and communication devices. This is something that we've now gotten 2 years in a row. Speaks to the professionalism of your budget staff, your auditors, your finance folks, which do a great job of making sure that they count beans and that they're all placed in the proper buckets. So thank you all. And I don't mean to belittle what you do, but I don't understand what you do many times. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you, Mayor, for sharing that.
Through the chair.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I wanted to ask a question. I think, well, I would like to direct my question to the city attorney. And if I may,
Yes, ma'am.
it has to do with the planning and zoning board. And I was recently just, reviewing some information about the planning and zoning board, especially after my recent appointment of the new board member. And it has been, some people have brought to my attention, they've asked me, what are if there are any legal implications with the previous board member, since it's a requirement that all board members have to be qualified electors and residents of Hialeah, and the prior board members served from 2021 through January of 2024 without being qualified, if that would have any legal implications.
That's a good question. We would want to research it, but offhand, however, I will tell you this. The person, I believe, was removed as soon as the defect was discovered. As to the person's votes in this city, first, your planning and zoning board is entirely advisory. Unlike other cities, it is not a jurisdictional board. They make recommendations to the council. So you can cogently argue that most everything they recommend to the council, while they do have to recommend comp plan changes, rezonings, whatever, it's merely a recommendation and the council can do whatever they think is in the city's best interest. They're not a jurisdictional board. Secondly, when analysis is done like that, and let's just presume for the sake of argument that it would be a jurisdictional board, but it's not, you would look as to whether that person's vote would actually change the outcome. So unless there was a vote that changed the outcome, it's not considered to be an error that rises to the level of what I think you might be alluding to. That's what I would tell you offhand would be the answer.
No, yes, I just wanted to understand. So is it a requirement for, let's say, future board members, they all have to be residents of Hialeah and qualified electors, or it was just that one incident that doesn't really make a difference?
For that board requires that you be a city resident and a city elector, and anybody who wants to serve on that board must meet those qualifications. And again, I don't want to, I haven't conducted any kind of independent inquiry or whatever, but apparently there were documents or things indicating that this person evidently, but they weren't. So, I don't know the facts, so I don't want to speak. But yes, they're required for that board, which is an important board. They're required to be electors of the city.
Thank you.
No, of course.
Okay. All right. If that's all, then we're going to land use. Thank you all.
Thank you. Happy Easter.
Yes, happy Easter to all.
Will all those persons who will be testifying on an item, please stand and raise your right hand.
Las personas que quisieran prestar sus opiniones delante de esta junta, por favor, pónganse de pie y alcen la mano derecha.
Do you swear or affirm that the evidence you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
¿Usted jura o afirma que el testimonio que va a dar será la verdad, toda la verdad y únicamente la verdad y que Dios sea su testigo? Por favor, diga que sí si la respuesta es afirmativa.
Let the record reflect that all have responded in the affirmative.
En el archivo público constará que todos han respondido afirmativamente.
All right, LU1.
This is a second reading and public hearing of the proposed ordinance rezoning property from R1, one family district to R2, 1 and 2 family residential district, granting a variance permit to allow the construction of a new duplex on a substandard lot, having a lot width of 60 feet where 75 feet. I'm sorry.
It's first reading. It's first reading. Not second.
I'm sorry.
She was-
Thank you.
Reread it
Thank
again,
you.
please.
Okay, for the record, it's LU1 ordinance, its first reading of the proposed ordinance amending the future land use map from low-density residential office and professional services property located at 715 East 26th Street, Hialeah Zone R1, one family district, and legally described herein, repealing ordinances or parts ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Okay, this item's in first reading.
First reading.
Do we have any council discussion on this item? Quick question, Manny.
Yes, sir.
If no one else, sorry, name and address.
Manny Rose Architect, offices at 18501 Pines Boulevard, Suite 342, Pembroke Pines, Florida.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Manny, this is right next to the hospital, right?
Right across on the south side, on the
What
north
is-
side.
What is the intent for this? For what? for
It's
what-
it's a family business. They're gonna have half of the building on the second floor for the sister or the daughter, and the other half for another member of the family. So it's only two occupants supposedly are gonna occupy the space. And I'm happy to say that we're not requesting any variances on the parking. We have the proper parking, and I think it will be a beautiful asset to this area. This is a starting point of the homes that are there that are going to be changing to take advantage of the fact that the hospital is there.
Okay, got it. All right, thank you.
Motion.
We have a motion by Councilman Zogby.
Second.
We have a second by the Vice President.
Mr. Rodriguez is absent. Mr. Tundidor.
Yes.
Mr. Sogby.
Yes.
Mr. Calvo.
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes.
Yes.
Ms. Pacheco.
Yes.
Ms. Perez. You stepped out. We'll take a vote. Item passes.
Item passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. LU2.
First reading of proposed ordinance amending the future land use map from residential office to office and professional services property located at 3499 West Fourth Avenue, Hialeah, Zone R2, and legally described herein, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for penalties for violation hereof, and providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Esa palabra está fuerte. So.
And zone RO, RO.
RO, got it, right, got it. So this item's in first reading. Do we have any council discussion on this item?
Motion. Motion.
We have a motion by Councilman Calvo, and we have a second by Councilman Zogby. Please call the roll.
Mr. Tundidor.
Yes.
Mr. Sogby.
Yes.
Mr. Calvo.
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes.
Yes.
Ms. Pacheco.
Yes.
Ms. Perez. Okay, item passes.
Perfect, thank you. All right, heading into zoning, PZ1.
PZ1 is second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance rezoning property from R1, one family district to R2, 1 and 2 family residential district, granting a variance granting a variance permit to allow construction of a new duplex on a substandard lot, having a lot width of 60 feet where 75 feet are required, and allow street side setback of 8.9 feet where 15 feet is minimum required. In contrast to Hialeah Code of Ordinances 98-544 and 98-546, property located at 800 East 19th Street, Hialeah, Zone R1, one family district, and legally described herein, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, and providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
All right, this item's in second reading. Do we have any public comments on this item in the chamber or anything online, city clerk, Elsa?
No.
Nothing online either. Do we have any council discussion?
Motion.
We have a motion by the Vice President and second by Zogby.
Mr. Sogby,
Yes.
Mr. Calvo,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes,
Yes.
Ms. Pacheco,
Yes.
Ms. Perez? We'll take her vote later. Mr. Tundidor?
Yes.
Item passes.
All right. PZ2.
PZ two is second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance rezoning property from R1 one family district to R2 1 and 2 family residential districts, granting a variance permit to allow the construction of a new duplex on a substandard lot having a total area of 6,750 square feet, where 7,500 square feet are required, allow a lot width of 50 feet where 75 feet are required, and allow a street side setback of 8 feet where 15 feet is the minimum required. In contrast to Hialeah Code of Ordinances 98,544 and 98,546, property located at 1480 West First Avenue, Hialeah, Zone R1 one family district, and legally described herein, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violations hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
All right, items on second reading. Do we have any public comments in the chamber? Do we have anything online?
Nothing online?
Nothing online? No. We have a motion by Councilman Zagri.
Second.
We have a second by the Vice President.
Mr. Calvo?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes?
Yes.
Ms. Pacheco?
Yes.
Ms. Perez? Mr. Rodriguez? Absent. Mr. Tundidor?
Yes.
Mr. Sogby?
Yes.
Item passes.
Thank
All
you.
right, congratulations. All right, PZ3.
This is the one that was postponed, Mr. President.
Right.
This one was postponed. Thank you.
So this one was this postponed to a date and time certain?
Yes, this is
Yes.
your April 23rd.
April 23rd, at 7 PM, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, yes, go ahead with PZ4. Thank you.
All right, PZ4.
Second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance granting a variance permit to allow 48 parking spaces where 93 parking spaces are required for 6 businesses, including commercial uses and automobile uses, including 8 bays out of the 25 bays included in the existing warehouse industrial property, in contrast to the Hialeah Code of Ordinances 98-2189, subsection 15, property located at 6500, 6520, and 6540 West 20th Avenue, Hialeah, Zone M1 Industrial District, and legally described herein, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, and providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
All right, this item is in second reading. Any public comments in the chamber or anything online? Nothing?
Nothing on-
Any council discussion?
Motion.
We have a motion by the Vice President.
Second.
We have a second by Councilman Zogby.
Ms. Garcia Robes?
Yes.
Ms. Pacheco?
Yes.
Ms. Perez? Mr. Rodriguez is absent. Mr. Tundidor?
Yes.
Mr. Sogby?
Yes.
Mr. Calvo?
Yes.
Item passes.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. PZ5.
PZ five is second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance granting a conditional use permit pursuant to Hialeah Code of Ordinances 98-181 to allow K-1 grade elementary school with a maximum capacity of 30 students in conjunction with a 62 children daycare. Property located at 5480 Palm Avenue, Hialeah, Zone C2 Liberal Retail Commercial District, and legally described herein, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Okay, this item is the second reading. Do we have any any public comments in the chamber or anything online?
No, sir.
Do we have any council discussion?
Motion.
Motion by the Vice President, second by Zogby.
Ms. Pacheco?
Yes.
Ms. Perez? Mr. Rodriguez is absent. Mr. Tundidor?
No.
Mr. Sogby?
Yes.
Mr. Calvo?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes?
Yes.
Item passes.
All righty, PZ6.
A second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance granting a conditional use permit pursuant to Hialeah Code of Ordinances 98-181 to allow K-1 grade school with a maximum capacity of 14 students in conjunction with a 38 children daycare, property located at 4556 West 12th Avenue, Hialeah, Zone C1, Restricted Retail Commercial District, and legally described herein, repealing all the ordinances or parts of ordinance in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
All right, this item is in second reading. Do we have any public comments in the chamber or online?
No, sir.
No? Okay. Any council discussion?
Motion.
We have a motion by the Vice President,
Second.
second by Zogby.
Ms. Perez? She's not in. Mr. Tundidor?
No.
Mr. Sogby?
Yes.
Mr. Calvo?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes?
Yes.
Ms. Pacheco?
Yes.
Item passes.
Perfect. PZ 7.
PZ 7 is second reading and public hearing of proposed ordinance approving a final plat of West Buena Vista 2, accepting all dedication of avenues, streets, roads, or other public ways, together with all existing and future planting of trees, shrubbery, and fire hydrants, property located at 1251 Southeast 8th Court, Hialeah, Florida, and legally described herein, repealing all ordinances in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
All right, any public comments in the chamber or online?
No, sir.
Seeing as there none, do we have any council discussion?
Motion.
We have a motion by the Vice
Second.
President and a second by Zogby.
Mr. Tundidor?
Yes.
Mr. Sogby?
Yes.
Mr. Calvo?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes?
Yes.
Ms. Pacheco?
Yes.
Ms. Perez? Item 7. PC 7. Yes. And we'll get your recording for PZ 2, PZ 4, 5, 6, and 7, and also LU 2 and PZ 1. From LU 2 forward,
Okay, we're on 7 right now,
we're on
right?
7.
Okay,
Okay.
yeah, this is second reading, yeah.
She says, oh, you want
Yes.
as well.
LU 1.
Okay. So we were gonna skip Perez for PZ 7.
Yeah, it
Right.
said yes to that one.
You said yes to that one?
Yeah,
Okay.
that one's on second reading. I
Yes.
knew that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Move to the other items to come votes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, so we finished PZ 7
We finished PZ 7.
and that one, so that one
So
passed. that one
item,
approved.
item PZ 1, PZ 2.
Councilwoman, hold on, for LU 1.
LU
Okay.
1.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And what's your vote for LU 2?
Yes.
For PZ 1?
These are all second readings, so yes for PZ 1, PZ 2. PZ 3 we skip, PZ 4, yes.
PZ 5?
Yes.
And PZ 6?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, PZ 8.
PZA is ordinance in first reading. A proposed ordinance rezoning property from R1, one family district to OPS, Office and Professional Service District, granting a variance permit to allow an interior west side setback of 2 inches where 5 feet, 1 inch in the minimum required, and 18% previous area where 30% is the minimum required. In contrast to Hialeah Code of Ordinances 98-1026, subsection 3 and 5, property located at 715 East 26th Street, Hialeah, Zone R1, one family district, and legally described herein, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances herewith, providing penalties for violation hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date. And this
Okay.
is first reading.
This item's in first reading, not open for public discussion. Do we have any council discussion? What's the pleasure of the board?
Motion.
Motion by Zogby,
Second.
second by the Vice President. Call the roll.
Mr. Tundidor?
Yes.
Mr. Sogby?
Yes.
Mr. Calvo?
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes?
Yes.
Ms. Pacheco?
Yes.
Ms. Perez?
Yes.
Item passes. This
Thank you.
item and all the other items that are first reading are scheduled for April the 9th.
Thank you.
April 9th. Got it. Thank you so much. PZ 9.
PZ 9 is first reading of proposed ordinance granting a conditional use permit pursuant to Hialeah Code of Ordinances 98-181 to allow an assisted living facility with 87 beds, existing ALF since 1985, and a variance permit to allow 5 parking spaces where 29 parking spaces are required, in contrast to Hialeah Code of Ordinances 98-2189, subsection 21, property located at 68 West 7th Street, Hialeah, Zone R3D, multifamily district, and legally described herein, repealing all ordinances or parts of the ordinance in conflict herewith, providing penalties for violations hereof, providing for a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
All right, this item is in first reading. Do you have any council discussion?
Through the chair,
Yes, sir.
they run a wonderful business there, Salmos. They run a wonderful business. So if you want to keep growing, I'm behind you.
Thank you.
I motion.
We have a motion by Councilman Zogby. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by the Vice President.
Mr. Sogby,
Yes.
Mr. Calvo,
Yes.
Ms. Garcia Robes.
Yes.
Ms. Pacheco,
Yes.
Ms. Perez.
Yes.
Mr. Tundidor.
Yes.
Item passes. Second reading is scheduled for April 9th.
Thank you. Final decisions?
There are none, sir.